And we are live on College Band Radio, all college band, all the time. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 5 of College Band Radio. It is our homecoming episode, so happy homecoming to everyone. We have Craig and Savannah on to start. First off, how y'all doing this week?
It's midterm season for me. I'm kind of suffering, but you know what? It's all right. I'm getting through it.
And not too bad, just working the grind.
That's how we do. Midterms and final season is slowly coming up, so we are sending the good vibes to all of you people that are dealing with that stuff. As for me, I had some sad boy hours early in the week. The Rays lost the World Series. Your boy did cry several times. Not ashamed to say that, but, it is what it is, as the kids say. Yeah, so other than that, there's been some interesting football stuff that happened. So what better place to start off this week than talking about the fact that the Pac-12 is back, Pac-12 football is back. Savannah, our Pac-12, resident aficionado, how are you feeling about the Pac-12 finally being back in some semblance of athletic events going on?
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I've been missing watching the Pac-12 a lot because obviously I've been watching all the other conferences and stuff.
Yeah.
And as much as I love doing that, I love to watch my home teams play. So specifically UW, I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing what happens with the Pac-12 this year because there's a lot of questions, a lot of young teams specifically. So
Savannah, what is because I know that you talked about this with us a little bit. There seems to be a lot more voter initiative programs that are being instituted among conferences around the country, but especially in the Pac-12. What do you know about what the Pac-12 has been doing with that?
Yeah, so the Pac-12 has been doing an initiative that's called Pack the Polls, and it's all about kind of getting student athletes, like, at least registered to vote, if they can, just kind of to encourage more involvement with young adults, which, you can look at the, statistics of different age groups voting throughout the past couple elections, and it tends to be pretty low turnout for young adults, so it's kind of something that the Pac-12 and other conferences have been doing to kind of get people out, have their voice be heard.
On top of that, I do want to talk a little bit more about Pac-12 because obviously the Pac-12 is the big story of this week, among other things. 6-game season in the Pac-12, really, really interesting situation. Savannah, from your perspective, do you think that's going to prevent a lot of Pac-12 teams that maybe end up going 6-0 or have a really, really good season? Is that going to prevent them from even getting close to that college football playoff conversation?
I think it will, and I wish it didn't, but, it's only 6 games. I'm not saying maybe we should have played more games, but I think when they're picking teams for the playoff, they're definitely going to take that into account, that Pac-12 has played half as many games as other teams have. I think it would be great to see the Pac-12 in the college football playoff again, but yeah, I'm kind of hesitant to say that they'll be involved in that with only 6 games. Because there's really no room for error there either. If you're 5-1, still the kind of same thing. Obviously, already discounts you. So,
Craig, going on to you about this. So, Big Ten alumni, will the Big Ten suffer in the same sort of way, only playing 9 games in their schedule as compared to other conferences that have had the ability to play more?
So, I think the Big Ten likely will face a little bit of question, especially, teams that struggle early on. For example, like the team that comes to my mind that's struggling early on right now is Penn State. I think, if we had a full season and they were off to an 0-2 start, that would really hurt them, but they'd have 10 games to say, hey, those were a fluke, to still come back to be able to beat Ohio State, to be able to beat Wisconsin and all the big powerhouses. But now that they don't have those opportunities, they don't have the amount of games to prove, hey, that was a fluke. This really is saying that for the Big Ten and Pac-12, if you have, especially for the Pac-12, if you have one loss, you're done. Your playoff dreams are done. Our conferences are definitely, they're put at a disadvantage. Because they just simply don't have the amount of time. Now, do I personally think that, starting in September would have been a good idea? Um, I think the conference that did it happened to manage it well in some cases, in other cases not so well.
Yeah.
But also considering the Big Ten had a brand new commissioner, I think he decided that it was best to play it safe and to just try and prevent things. He didn't have that experience of handling a regular season before getting to handle this season.
Yeah. This is true.
So I think if I were him, I probably would have made the same call. But had he not made that call, had he said, we're just going to go ahead with the season, and just try and take the punches as they come, I think it would have put the Big Ten, and if the Pac-12 had also done the same thing, it would have put them in a better position in terms of playoffs.
Yeah.
But that's where we stand.
Yeah, I think thinking about the Pac-12 specifically with the whole thing you were talking about with fluke wins, fluke losses, you could have a Pac-12 team that has never been part of the college football conversation playoff, be 5-1 or 6-0 this year because they all have different strength of schedules. I guess that's more of a basketball term, but you could have an Arizona State or a Cal, come through and be 5-1 or 6-0. Is that going to make the playoff committee take them into consideration, or do they already have their opinions of the Pac-12? Are they just going to kind of look to put Oregon and Utah and UW into that conversation? Because I think the whole 6-game season thing is kind of like a grasp, kind of the Pac-12 is just grasping at whatever else they have to get a Pac-12 name into the playoff conversation. And I think personally, for any Pac-12 people listening, that the Beavers, OSU, have a really hard schedule this year. So that means that there's other teams that maybe historically better that have easier schedules. So since it's only conference play, only 6 games, I think it was just kind of an effort to get one of those top teams that have been in the playoff before or almost there to kind of seal the deal and get them in there. Whether they consider them, I don't know.
So that leads us into talking about COVID and the Clemson-Boston College game. So obviously Clemson, number 1 team in the nation, was without their starting quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, due to him getting COVID. He will be out for the Notre Dame game. Boston College took him to the ropes, nearly beat him. It was a questionable intentional grounding thing in the end zone, which I think probably was the right call. But how COVID's still a huge thing, and as we get into this third wave now, it seems like a lot more programs are starting to be affected. So how is this from either of you can start this, but how is this going to affect how college football is going to be like in these coming weeks?
It's going to be interesting. I'm almost doubtful that it will continue very much longer. It's interesting with having the Pac-12 just now starting. I've talked to a couple people where it's is football going to be just Pac-12 for a while? Because there's so many postponements, so many no contests, and I feel bad for the athletes. Maybe they want to be out there playing, but I just wish they weren't at risk. I wish everything was fine again, like everybody does. But makes you feel for them. It makes you think do these people that are really good draft prospects, do they feel pressure to play when they might not feel safe to do so? It's that whole thing that I've been thinking about a lot.
Yeah.
But specifically with Clemson and Boston College, I did like that game a lot. Honestly, I didn't watch the beginning. But I really wanted Clemson to lose. And I didn't want Clemson to lose, but I really wanted Boston College to win, That's a big thing. So, yeah, for sure. I hope everybody that's had to sit out or everything is okay in the end. I really hope that they're being safe about it as well. So.
I mean, I think it's understandable that kind of Clemson had a rocky start to that game, just because they haven't had a start in, I think, 3 years now without Trevor Lawrence being, under center.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. He's in his junior year now, and he's been the guy, and so now all of a sudden there's a different guy out there, and so there some just a little mental changes they have to make. All of that kind of coming together, and then they were like, all right, here we go. Let's figure this out. All of a sudden, they remember, oh, yeah, we're still the number 1 team in the country. We're still Clemson. Just because we don't have Trevor Lawrence doesn't mean we can't play football. And once they kind of got the ball rolling, they were able to actually produce on the field. And I think I'd say if Trevor Lawrence hadn't been so much of the guy in the past, that maybe there was more of a quarterback battle and the other quarterbacks may have been getting more reps with the first team, there would have been less of a rocky start because there would have been less of a transition from Trevor Lawrence starting to somebody else starting. I think then going on to just kind of COVID in general, I think what Savannah was saying is about like is there gonna be college football? Is the Pac-12 just gonna be the college football? Is an interesting question. And that being the case, if that is what happens, will the Pac-12 start playing games at like 9 a.m. for them?
Prime
like,
time slots.
To get slots for all day throughout the entire country, will some of their games start being like 9 a.m. games? Because if they are, I am sorry for everybody out there. That is very early for a football game.
That's
well, at least, I mean, for band, I wouldn't have to be there.
True.
I wouldn't mean like a super early. Yeah, it wouldn't be a super early call time. But, I think Boston College deserves some credit for this game. They really came out to play for sure.
They played really well. They played very well.
Yeah.
Boston College is a team, I'd say similar to Indiana, where I always forget that they're good. That they're good.
Yeah, I do think that, Clemson's been in the spotlight for a really long time, and I think it says a lot about their program that they're much more than the quarterback. A lot of people just think about the quarterback. People really doubt like a team's ability to play as well as they do without the quarterback. The star. Yeah, I did enjoy watching that game. Very end of it.
Yeah, so I think so, and again, we will keep monitoring these situations, and we will see how things go on. So that kind of wraps up our news segment. But before we get into our main segment, which of course is talking about homecoming, we have a couple guests on to talk about their homecoming experiences at their different locations. I do want to say our friend Jonathan from Jackson State, whom we interviewed for this, we forgot to mention the fact that they have a giant homecoming parade, of which Jackson State's marching band, the Sonic Boom of the South, participates in. So we wanted to make sure that we mentioned that at some point, but so with that being said, so again, happy homecoming to everyone, and we are going to get into our homecoming story right now. So enjoy, and then after that, we're going to get into our Week 10 college football picks.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our next segment. Today, we are here with Jonathan Johnson, the former drum major from Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi. Hello, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me aboard.
We are doing phenomenally here today.
Yeah, we're doing great. I was going to say, Jonathan, could you talk a little bit more about yourself?
I'm a senior computer engineer major at Jackson State University. I also have a minor in Mandarin Chinese. I've been speaking it now for about to be 4 years. At Jackson State University, I came in the fall of 2015 on trumpet. I marched 2 years on trumpet, and then the later part of my career, for the last 3, I was a drum major.
And for those of you that don't know, the Jackson State Band has a history of having very, very good drum majors. So having that title of being drum major at Jackson State is something that I'm sure Jonathan takes a lot of pride in.
Oh, yeah, I take a lot of pride in it. It's just hard upholding it.
Yeah, I bet.
I was just talking about how, with each era that comes through, I wouldn't say it's a lot of pressure, but the pressure's on to make sure that, okay, a standard is upheld year after year after year after year. And trust me, they will let you know when it's not being upheld. That one game you just had a small little mental breakdown, they'll let you know. But other than that, the fan base is lovely. They encourage you. It's really just family oriented here at Jackson State University. And that's probably one of the biggest appeals to me.
So this week, for our viewers and our listeners, we are focusing on homecoming. Obviously, it's homecoming for a lot of people, but obviously a bunch of different schools across the country have a bunch of different homecoming traditions. Jonathan, at Jackson State, what is homecoming like from what you've experienced?
Band practice. That is what homecoming is like. All the years I've been in band, homecoming just been practice. But I can tell you what the atmosphere is like. The atmosphere is like especially when the alumni come back, is really a time of excitement. For instance, throughout the course of the season, you hear all the rumblings and rumors and stories of how people used to be back in the day. And then to finally see the faces of those people and see the personalities and really just to see how the people bonded and connected. And although we're separated by time as regards to errors, that Jackson State blood courses through all of us, and it really knits us together as just one real big family. So although this person may have marched in the band in the '80s, knowing that this person was in the band with me, automatically we have a connection. And so that's really what it feels like, and it's an amazing feeling, knowing that although never met you before a day in my life, first time me hearing your name, but yet I can just say a quick little band joke, and automatically you'll get the reference. Like it's amazing.
Yeah,
So awesome.
it's great having, a shared history with somebody that you've never met them before, but they wore the same jacket as you, 30, 40 years ago maybe even, but you still have that connection with them.
Homecoming, it's a really special time, and the best part is the last day of homecoming, which is on that Friday, where all the alumni get to march back with the band. That's an amazing time. I remember the first time, my first homecoming, my freshman year. We weren't allowed to march back with the band because we were freshmen.
Mhm.
But my first time, just seeing all the alumni just lined up. We're on the practice field, and the grass one, and we're lined up for Tiger Run On. And just to my left, you just see hundreds upon hundreds of Sonic Boom alumni just talking trash. I can't put it no other way. I can't simplify it no other way. Talking trash, telling you when we go to blowing, I want to hear Super C. I want to hear Super C. I mean, it's real exciting, and just seeing all of the different people. I mean, it's amazing.
So I was curious, talking more about that. So you said that homecoming week for you guys is a lot of practice. What's your practice schedule like?
So our normal day routines, Monday through Thursday, is the same. We don't change anything. However, on that Friday, a lot changes. So for instance, we have to be extra focused because you have hundreds of people on the sidelines, going about their business. You have to make sure you're focused on the field, make sure you're not, talking to them. The difference is also too is that during homecoming, a lot of different little pet band performances, and so it can get a bit taxing, especially since you still got band practice. Since it's homecoming week, it's a longer show. So because it's a much longer show, usually we're at practice just a little bit longer, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, nothing major. A little bit
Mhm.
longer after practice. But other than that, our daily routine is just the same.
How long are practices usually? I forgot to ask that.
Band practice usually starts at 5:20 p.m.
Okay.
So my
Jeez.
last season, we tried to be a lot more efficient with our time.
Okay.
Efficiency. So we would start at 5 o'clock p.m. and we would go to 10 p.m., 10:30 at the latest. Before my freshman year, we would probably get out around 11:30.
I used to go
So,
like 2 hours for practice, and I thought that was a lot. And you're going 6. Oh my
Uh-huh.
god.
for instance, we march to our practice field, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
that takes about 30. That takes about 30 minutes or 45 minutes right there, just us marching to the practice field.
Oh, okay, okay.
The warm up is about 45 minutes long for the warm up process. We're running through all of our corrals, running through all of our marches.
Mm.
So the right there, that almost 2 hours right there on the field, work. You might be on the field about 2 hours or 3 hours marching back. Marching back is the worst because you're tired. You're like,
Yeah.
can we just please just like walk back to the practice field? From 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. is official band practice. You have sectionals an hour before that.
Wow.
So I know in the trumpet section, when I was in the section, we would start sectionals at 4:15. The cafeteria opens up at 4, so that lets you know how much time you got to eat.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's dedication right there.
Well, I've really learned to not procrastinate. That's really just the biggest thing. Don't
Definitely,
procrastinate.
definitely time management is an important thing that most band kids have to learn real fast.
Yeah.
So I guess going back to kind of our discussion about homecoming a little bit. So I know you talked a little bit about kind of the role of the band during homecoming and having all those different performances kind of all around campus. Are there any other specific traditions or I guess ceremonies that the band takes part in, or just other ceremonies around campus and exciting things that happen during homecoming week that you could elaborate on?
But there are still some traditions um, that we do, specifically on just the march back to the band hall on that Friday evening. Um, you'll have a huge section battle. Like you'll have 70 trumpets right here. You might have 50, 60 baritones, and they're just battling it out. It's something that just happens every year. You can expect the people who are in the vicinity within their dorms not to get any sleep that night. I mean, it's real amazing during that time. But I can speak to old band directors coming back. That is a tradition that has always just happened with us. Old band directors will come back and just talk about how the program has changed and how it has evolved over the decades. And it's really just amazing to see, Harold Halton, he'll come back and he'll talk about the Sonic Boom of the South, or you have other band directors come back and say, I remember when the Sonic Boom of the South name was founded. And you just listen to the stories, you're like, really? Wow. And it's really just amazing. I guess the biggest tradition is just people coming back and sharing their experiences with us. Because we don't have the opportunity to take place in the regular homecoming festivities other students take place in. But we have an opportunity to learn something that other students will never be able to learn, which is the rich history of our band.
So I was curious. So when you were talking about the alumni band, do they also perform a show after your show, or is it like simultaneously? Or they'll join you guys on the field and they'll march with you guys?
Yeah.
Oh wow, now I'm just I guess I was curious about that because the way we do it at Maryland, every year we have an alumni band come in, but they just learn the charts to the songs and then just stand in the front while we actually do like we march formations and all that stuff and play our shows and all that. But the alumni band for the Sonic Boom actually participates and marches with you guys.
Yes, they're a feature in the show, so they don't get a full field show with us. They have like a little small feature, and then the alumni drum majors comes out. They do their thing. The alumni J set, they do their thing. You'll even see the twirlers that the band used to have come out. Mm-hmm. So it's more of a small feature.
So, well, being a drum major at any university is definitely something to be proud of. Is there do you find that you had like an extra sense of pride, like being a drum major at I think the largest HBCU band and arguably one of the best? Like, did you find that you had an extra sense of pride in there because of that history and the legacy that went along with that opportunity that you found yourself in?
You do feel a strong sense of pride, especially early on when I first obtained the position. I was walking around campus thinking I was the man. But as the time goes on, you kind of get adjusted to the position, and your ego kind of goes back down to normal. You feel it's almost as if you're another cog in the wheel. Although you're not, although you're extremely vital to the program, just the mindset that all of us has is that, I'm no one special. This position that I have, I'm grateful to have this position. I'm fortunate enough and blessed enough to have this position, and that I don't have to have this blessing that is bestowed upon me. So we really take it with grace. And when we're endowed with this position, we don't feel entitled, right? I don't get any special privileges. I'm still at band practice every single day. Been in band for 5 years, never missed a single band practice. So we have a sense of pride, but that pride doesn't go to our head.
Homecoming it's such an interesting time, and I love getting to hear different perspectives from different types of bands all around the country. And so with that, I want to say thank you, Jonathan, for coming on and telling us a little bit about what goes into the homecoming atmosphere and what goes into creating that homecoming atmosphere at Jackson State.
All right, and we are back with our second part of our, I guess we can call it our main topic this week. In our homecoming episode, we haven't ventured out to the ACC yet, so what better of a time to venture out to the ACC than this week? We have Crissy and Kayleigh from the University of Pittsburgh here to talk with us about how festivities are like at Pitt. If you guys want to introduce yourselves a little bit more than my kind of base intro, feel free.
My name is Crissy. I was the drum major at Pitt for the 2019-2020 season.
And I'm Kayleigh, and I'm a current member of the marching band at Pitt, and I play the piccolo.
And obviously, we also have Jason here, who is riding high after Purdue's win yesterday.
Yeah,
very, very
I'm
close.
Still here.
He's still here. He's surviving.
We're still undefeated.
So I guess the first thing that I wanted to ask you guys, what is Pitt doing this year with marching band?
Right, so we had nothing going on up until about 2 weeks ago. The campus was in an elevated risk posture, so no online or no in-person activities, just online for the band. So we were doing educational meetings about once a week, and with some supplemental things here and there. And 2 weeks ago, the Oakland campus moved into a guarded risk posture, so we were able to meet as a band. It's not everyone, so just the people who wanted to participate in person, but we had a couple rehearsals. A couple of them were rained out, but we were able to go to the Pitt Notre Dame game about 2 weeks ago, and that was the big thing. And then we're just preparing for what game is it? The Pitt
Virginia Tech game.
Pitt Virginia Tech game
over Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but just 2 rehearsals a week at the moment, and it's whoever wants to show up, and we do our best. That's it.
When you said you guys got to go to the game, did you guys go as a band, or did you just go as fans?
We went as a band. They were able to take about half the band in, so it was done by seniority for those who are graduating and won't get the chance to play the game again. But we were spaced out in the rows in quite a big section in Heinz Field. And it was cool. It was nice to be back.
But so I guess talking about Heinz Field kind of leads me into what you guys do for homecoming.
I'll say that then most of our traditions are based at Heinz Field. They've been morphed to be things that we can do at Heinz Field. So as far as stuff that we do on campus for homecoming that's related to the band and the game, the one thing that we brought back last year that was an old Pitt homecoming tradition was something called the Snake, which was basically the band back in the day when they used to do the Snake. They would get on the city buses that drive around Pittsburgh, and the band would get on the bus and they would play, and then they would all get off the bus and they would keep marching to the next bus stop, and they would get on another bus and they would play on the bus, and it was really cool. So they called that the Snake because you were snaking around the city, and so we brought that back to Pitt's campus. The whole band marched in a single file line, just all around campus, playing all of our school songs, and then we did a concert at the Cathedral of Learning, which is our main building on campus. We did a big concert there, and that was the night before the homecoming game. But as far as traditions at Heinz Field for homecoming, we have, I guess I'll talk about what some cool stuff the drum majors get to do. Before we switched back to retro colors, at Pitt we used to have the drum majors dress up in old drum major uniforms. So they would pull out uniforms from the 40s or the 60s and stuff, and we would all the drum majors would dress up in different uniforms, and then all the drum majors would run out for what we call on the prowl, which is a drum line and drum major performance before full pregame happens. So instead of just the head drum major running out and doing their performance, all 3 come out in these cool uniforms and do a whole routine. I don't know.
The band does a special halftime show.
Oh yeah, how did I forget that?
So out of the band for 1 year, and she already forgets. So we do a special halftime show at homecoming, and we basically start as a one body, either in the end zone or just off the field, and then we do a single file line that's led by the drum major, and we do if you've ever seen Ohio State when they spell out Ohio on the field, we do something similar. It's a single file line, and we go through our Pitt script, and it's the sequence of fight songs and
That's a pretty cool tradition, especially being in the band. That's one of maybe the most stressful parts of that week is learning that routine, because it's a lot harder to follow the leader than you might think when you're going all the way across the field. And quite often the piccolos end up and as the part that crosses the T, and knowing where and when that happens is always fun to learn. So that's, I guess, one of the
Yeah.
band's main contributions.
Then we have the alumni band march onto the field, and they like dot the I in a big block, and so they get to play some of the tunes with us during the halftime show.
How is it like putting on those like old drum major uniforms? Because I mean, it's got to be like different materials going on. It's got to be a really, really strange feeling compared to like what you guys are currently wearing.
It's really fun. I mean, this was back when we still had like our like the normal like wool uniforms. We switched to the like I don't know, these like fancy athletic style uniforms last year. They're like screen printed. They're pretty cool. But oh, it's weird to put on those like old uniforms just to see like the styles that some of them have. Like some of them we used to have those like big white buckles. That like I think Ohio State still wears them. They're like big white straps that go across your uniform, and like loads of buttons and stuff. Oh, it's really fun though because we get to like go into the closet and like pick which ones we want.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
kind of hard for me because like nothing fit me.
Crissy is very tall.
Literally like barely 5 feet tall, so we're like have really had to rummage. I didn't wear an old drum major uniform. I wore an old bandy uniform because it was the only thing that would fit me. But it's fun.
If it works, right?
Yeah, you know.
And
it
then
did work.
yeah, and then Kayleigh, when you were talking about going crossing the T, is this something that only happens during homecoming? And when do you guys start practicing that? Because I'm sure that there's probably been many times while you've been practicing where people have definitely collided with each other.
Right. So we form the Pitt script, like the image that we make at the end. That is in our regular pregame, but it's a very different way that we put it together. And so this is a special thing that we have to learn for homecoming. And every year is just slightly different, and I don't know why it's always.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's because the drum major like is basically like the pen that's writing it, because they're the ones that have to like draw it. So it depends how well they know what they're doing. And there is no instructions to this at all. There's the ending drill set and the starting drill set, and you know
You just say go at it.
Yeah, and you just figure it out.
So it's a lot of fun.
It's really fun, yeah.
So we probably start practicing it.
2 weeks
I don't know,
before?
2 weeks before, and we spend quite a lot of time getting it done. And it looks great at the end. But especially with those bottom curves, you don't want those to drift up and down. You know, and so that takes a lot of practice.
But like honestly though, how nervous are you when you're going through that? Because like if that was me, I'd be like, okay, I'm definitely gonna hit someone right now. Like there's no way bodies aren't gonna crash. Yeah.
Well, they do the same thing. Like when we make the pit script in pregame, the piccolos have to pass through like this big line, or no, it's the basses have to pass through all the piccolos.
Through the piccolos.
Like the piccolos are marching down and the basses are marching. They're both moving at the same time. So they sort of, I think you guys already are exposed to the level of cortisone that goes into your body. When you're cortisol, whatever it's called. She's a nurse. Who knows what it is.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that happens in our regular pregame.
Oh, okay.
So
just got to keep moving.
You just got to keep moving. You can't stop. And then close your eyes and hope for the best, I guess.
Which is exactly what they tell you to do when we go through the smoke.
When we run out of the
Yeah, I was going to address that because I did actually watch a Pitt pregame before this just so I can like have some information.
Oh,
and
Jason needed some
That
ammo.
is like, I saw the tunnel and I saw the smoke and I was like, okay, so I can't see anyone coming out of the smoke. So I imagine it's got to be kind of like hectic coming out of it.
Wait, you guys have a smoke entrance? What?
We've got 2.
It's only smoke though.
We have 2 tunnels on each corner of the stadium, like on the end zone, and we split the band in half, and half runs out of one tunnel, half runs out of the other tunnel, and we've got people standing there with, just smoke spraying at the entrance of the tunnel, and we all run out, and it is an experience. It's amazing.
Has there been anything ever like disastrous? Like one person
Yeah,
on the
yes.
first trip.
Yes, there's so many good stories. There's one, I think there was one game like
This
I
is where
think
everyone
it's
gets
like-
exposed.
this was like in the 80s or 90s. There's this what's that,
Quad
or tenor player, and he's running out, and they're on ESPN, like, and they're filming this, and he's running out of the smoke, and he slips, and he like falls over his drum falls off, and it was like, you know when they do like like a Sports Center highlights.
Oh,
or-
not top 10.
They did a not top 10.
Yeah,
Please
something
tell
like
me they
that.
got
No.
number
Like on
one.
Sports
You
Center.
got to get number one on that. That's an iconic
No.
moment.
But
Oh my
when
God.
it's rainy, like when you come out of this, you're supposed to like hold your breath and just keep running. They tell you,
And you can't stop.
don't stop, don't even think about stopping, don't breathe in, and don't stop. Those are like the
Those
four
are our
instructions.
rules.
Don't breathe. Just
Just run.
Because otherwise you'll end up like coughing all the smoke. So you don't want that to happen. So you take a nice big breath before you run through, and then you hope for the best.
It
But
gets so
we've had a couple
exciting in
people
there.
slip. We've had a couple people fall. Especially when it's raining. The Pitt Penn State game my freshman year, it was pouring the whole game. It was pouring all day, and it was a night game, and that was a very interesting pregame. But we
There
made
was
it
lots
through.
of slipping. Someone slipped and like fell out of their base. Like, you know, you wear your Susan. They fell and they like fell out of their.
Oh no.
Put it back on.
Get up and keep running.
How big is the Pitt marching band, by the way?
Usually over 300.
Pretty big.
I mean, for Jason, that's not that big because Purdue's
It's about the
band
same
is-
size as our band.
Yeah, no, our Maryland is like 270. So I'm like, oh, 300 plus is like, wow.
A lot of buses.
A lot of buses, because we have to get bused to Heinz Field then. So
How much does the band usually travel in a year?
We usually do one big away game,
Okay.
and then we do the bowl game.
Okay.
But we stopped doing, we used to do like 50-person pep bands to away games, and they would go to like almost every away game with like these 50-person pep bands. But they decided to do fewer of them so that they could take more people and have like a bigger and better band go. So
and now the whole band gets to go on a
On
really
one-
nice big trip. So my freshman year, we went out to Notre Dame, and we got to visit Chicago. Actually, we spent a night in Chicago, and that was, you know, quite fun. And we've gotten to travel to all the bowl games, and we flew to El Paso. The band had its own plane.
That's awesome.
Oh,
It was amazing.
That's
we
a
didn't have to
vibe.
wake up quite early in the morning, but it was all worth it. And that was quite a trip. Last year we went to Detroit. We run that bowl game, so very proud of that.
What is what sort of homecoming specific things does Kappa Kappa Psi do? Does your chapter do for homecoming week?
Yeah, so our Kappa chapter, we've got an active alumni association, so usually they've got some part of it, and they'll tailgate, and I get free food, and it's a nice combination there. So usually they'll have, you know, events going on for them as well, and then as a chapter we try and plan at least one alumni event, either around homecoming, or if it doesn't work out, usually sometime in November, and celebrate that connection. So yeah, there's stuff going on there as well.
I'm guessing like a normal day for you guys is practicing in the morning, busing over there, and then doing stuff for pregame, and then the pregame before pregame, and then pregame and then game.
yeah, so we practice in the morning on campus, yeah, and then we bus over. We do we get set up in the stadium, and then we do our we do like a parade. We do the Panther call, and we like welcome the team when they get off their bus into the stadium. So we play for them, and we like do cheers and stuff. And then we do our pregame concert, and then we have the March to Victory, which is like
Another parade.
Like these are all transplants.
There's just a lot going on.
Yeah, well, it's all sort of the things that we used to do when we were on campus, like, you know, a parade around the stadium, around campus to like go into the stadium. We sort of had to like figure out how to like remake that work for the Heinz Field setup. So that's why there's just like a bunch of like random stuff, but
Yeah, I can
it
imagine
works.
this stuff.
It
Yeah.
works. But
Okay, wait. I have a question.
Ooh,
This
Jason's
is gonna be so.
intrigued.
This is gonna be so bad. But okay, so whenever you guys are losing at a football game, right? So, say you're down, like you're down going into the fourth quarter.
This
Does
is not gonna
everyone
end
make
up
the
well.
freaking like? Does everyone make the like? We can still catch up pun or something
Oh
like
my
that?
God, Jason, stop!
or if it's like the last game of the
no.
season, like we muster like win this game or something.
No, I'm done.
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna have to do that.
Yeah,
I
well,
think.
You've never made that pun before?
No, because whenever we get into the red zone, that's when they have these like giant bottles on the scoreboard that tilt down,
And they
it looks
pour
like,
ketchup,
looks like they're pouring ketchup for like the Heinz red zone.
and I lose
So-
my mind.
I
Like,
love
will-
that.
I will never scream the word ketchup louder than I do in that moment. But
People bring like ketchup packets in the band, and whenever we get into the red zone, they like throw ketchup packets.
Okay,
There's a
that's
point in this
amazing.
episode that Hannah should look at that like I realized the pun and I just like lost it for a second.
So I guess it's like a last question for you guys. Talking about school pride, Crissy, if you want to talk more about your experience as a drum major and that part of it, but a homecoming week as a whole, is there like just instilling that sense of school pride more and more, and especially Crissy being a drum major and wearing the old drum major uniforms or old band uniforms, does that kind of instill that sense of like, this is where we were then and now I'm carrying on this tradition to where we are now?
Yeah, I think totally, absolutely. Those like putting on those retro uniforms, like there's a name in them that says like who was wearing it and like what year it's from. So like like basically whose shoes you're stepping into when you put it on. But sorry, what was the rest of the question?
Just like just like instilling that sense of school pride more and more, like you were just talking about, to where the band was and where the school was at, in the past, to where the school has come and where the band has come to now. Like do you
Yeah.
guys feel that in general?
I feel like I feel that every time I'm in the band. Because we do have so many traditions, like you can go back and watch like black and white footage from like the 30s of there being, the Pitt Band and the drum major and the herald trumpets, and like there is that like greater sense of, you're connected to something that's like really historic when all the alumni are there and you can talk to someone who can give you those like when I was in the band kind of stories, and they can like tell you what year they were like in the band and what games they traveled to, and I don't know. It's cool.
I think being in the band, you kind of get that sense a lot because especially the thrill of those tunnels, and that's every single game day. That's something that everyone in the band looks forward to, I think. And I think especially on homecoming, it's everyone else realizing how great, and they all have that sense of pride, and you're all coming together. So I think there is this like greater sense of, yes, we're all here and we're all celebrating, and we're all sharing our stories. But I think for you, especially as the first female drum major that the band has had as our head drum major, at least from my perspective, the women coming up to you being like, oh, I was one of the first women in Pitt Band, and and now we're seeing the first female drum major. That's a really special moment, at least I would assume.
Around
Yeah, I was going to say, we didn't even mention that, but last year, how was that for you around homecoming? Was it like a bigger deal, you being the head drum major at Pitt, the first female woman drum major at Pitt, and then just the fact of then this is the first homecoming that's happened, and now you're center stage?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exciting because like I get to be the person that's like at the front when we're doing that Pitt script during homecoming, and like I'm up there dotting the I, and so I can see all of the alumni coming forward to play with us when they're dotting the I in halftime. And I got a lot of really nice notes from women who were in the band, like in the 70s and 80s around homecoming, sending me notes about what what their band name was, like when they were in the band, what their experience was like. So that was really cool. And I mean, basically every game though, when I would go to the pregame concert, there would be someone there that was like, "Oh, I was drum major in such and such year. Nice to meet you." And it's sort of like you're joining like, this elite group of whatever, however long the band's been. 108 other people. That's it. That's like the whole group of people that have been drum majors. So that's something that kind of followed me the whole season, but it was definitely elevated at homecoming because you get to see all of those people coming back at the same time.
Did you say your band name?
Oh man, are we about to expose things?
No, there's
What does
nothing
that
to
mean?
expose. There's nothing to expose.
You know our nicknames.
Yeah, but
So
not
does
Oh, you
every-
guys have nicknames?
Every member in the band gets one? Question
if
mark?
they want one.
If they want one.
And they're all approved. They have to be like pre-approved names. But it's just like
I
a
just thought that was
separate-
interesting.
Do you guys
Um,
both have nicknames?
Yes.
Oh,
What are they?
Oh, we gotta know
Mine
now.
is Dollface because the way the Mellophones did their name is you just like tell a story when you're a freshman. You're
yes.
on your first day of camp. You just tell a story for other people to get to know you. And I said, I have two half brothers and I have a sister, but I couldn't think of a story. And so they were like, "Well, just tell us about something that happened with your siblings. That's funny." So I told them that when I was little, I would make my brothers play house with me, play like baby dolls with me. And they weren't really interested because they were like 10 years old at the time. So they would just push the faces of my rubber baby dolls in so that they were all like formed. And I would like start crying. And everybody thought that was funny. So then I became Dollface.
And my nickname is Whiplash, or Whip for short. And I kind of got it in a similar way. I told a story about when I was about 8 years old, I was at summer camp, and this is a bit tragic, but the camp counselor will not name names because he threw a medicine ball at my head.
Oh no!
And during dodgeball, we were playing dodgeball, and I was.
That's not a dodgeball anymore. That's
You
like
really wanted to
Well, we
ramp it up.
This was a cheap summer camp. We ran out of dodgeballs, and
Oh,
he just decided to pick up a medicine ball
just yeet
And,
that thing.
and yeet it at my neck, and I got whiplash, and I went to the hospital. That's
Hilarious, right?
hilarious. now I have neck problems for the rest of my life.
I thought it was going to be something regarding the movie with Miles Teller, not like an actual.
No, I
like,
wish. I wish.
Oh,
that was,
goodness gracious.
like,
That
Miles Teller playing those drums.
what a name. Ow.
yeah. That. Well, I hope everything's good now. I hope it's much better than what it was. Like, jeez.
Oh goodness. Thank
the-
you. I mean, I've got a whole rack of stories about my neck.
The band
Well-
names thing is pretty interesting though, because the only other band that I've heard of that does that thing is the Wisconsin band. I have like not
I
heard of
didn't
another band in this country that does like, I
Well, I
think their
mean,
band, they all
Sousa's-
have nicknames.
Some
I mean, yeah,
sousaphone
obviously
sections,
Sousa's or basses do have like their own names,
because they're
but they're weird. but like there's in terms of just the entire band like having a nickname, not like the band, but like the band members having a nickname. The only other band I've heard it from is Wisconsin when
Oh, yeah.
Justine came on. But yeah, that's
Nice.
really interesting.
Only if they want one. We don't force names on people. Only if they want it.
And we both wanted them, so.
I love
That's
mine.
cool.
Great.
well, that's really cool. That's like just like another added thing about creating a closer band community. But I wanted to say thank you both for coming on. We really appreciated just hearing everything, what Pitt does for homecoming, and it's just really unique. I was curious, is there any place on any social media accounts that the Pitt Marching Band has that you guys want to promote to let people know where to find you or where to find the band?
Yeah, Pitt Band is on Twitter and Facebook,
And Instagram.
and Snapchat.
So
Snapchat.
find us.
Thank you so much to both of you for coming on, and for everyone listening and watching. Thanks everyone for tuning into this main segment. We're now going to get, what are we, week 9 picks now, Jason? Can you confirm this?
I don't know. All I know is I think I'm winning.
Yeah, Jason's winning because I had a terrible week, but we're going into our final segment, our college football picks for this week. So stay tuned.
Welcome back to our College Band Radio Week 10. Jason is not here for picks this week, so as a result of that, Hannah will be giving Jason's picks for this week. So, Hannah, you are now 2 people.
Wow.
If you can,
That's powerful.
Can take over if you can take over the responsibilities.
I have the Go Cats and the Train energy now, so I am unstoppable.
All right, so we have a bunch of games to go over this week because the Pac-12 is back, which I'm sure that Savannah is extremely happy about.
Yes, finally.
Yay!
So we're gonna start off with the Pac-12 games and then kind of go in, but there's a lot of great matchups this week. Starting off with number 20, the University of Southern California versus Arizona State. We'll start off with Annabelle. Who do you have in this matchup between the Sun Devils and the Trojans? Who do you have, Annabelle?
I'm gonna go with the Trojans because they're ranked.
Hannah, who do you have?
I'm going to go with USC once again because they're ranked. Jason is choosing to go with Arizona State because they're a team that gets overlooked, and he thinks that USC is a bit overrated. Therefore, go Sun Devils. He said to make a trident hand sign. I don't know how to do that, so I think I just did the Star Trek thing.
I don't know which one it is.
That's fine. Live long and prosper.
Yeah, live long and prosper to the Sun Devils.
Craig, will USC live long and prosper in this matchup?
So I'm gonna agree with Jason that I think they're overrated, but I think they're still a better team. So I'm gonna go Trojans.
And Savannah, I'm sure that you already have your pick set for this.
Yeah, so USC, I'm just going to straight up say, way overrated coming out of the gate for the first game. I don't see any reason they should be ranked right now, especially at number 20. I think if there was a second Pac-12 team in the rankings, it should be Utah, especially from the Pac-12 South. So, yeah, I do think that they are a little bit overrated going into it. So, half of me wants to say, maybe they'll look good against Arizona State, but I'm going to pick Arizona State.
I'm agreeing. I like Herm Edwards as a coach. He's really turned that program around. I'm going with Arizona State on this one. The final Pac-12 matchup that we have: number 12 Oregon versus Stanford. Hannah, who do you have in this matchup between the Ducks and the Cardinals?
I have Oregon because of Mandrake, the scariest mascot on the face of the earth.
Can we put that in post? Yo, throw that in post right here.
Yeah,
just
if you have not seen Mandrake, he's terrifying, and he will destroy anyone and anything in his path, man, woman, or child. He doesn't care. So I'm going with Oregon. Jason is going with Oregon because his friend Tim said, "In my brain, Stanford, but in my heart, Oregon."
Okay. Craig.
No, we're gonna go with Stanford.
Okay.
All right, they're a solid team. Plus, trees are pretty dope.
Trees are dope. I do have to agree. Nature vibes. Savannah.
Just a fun fact about Stanford. So their mascot is the cardinal. It's one of only a handful of college mascots that doesn't end in an S. And also, the tree is actually the band's mascot, not the school's.
Oh.
So, but anyways, so I'm having a hard time with this because I can never root for Oregon. Never in my life will I ever root for Oregon. But I think for the sake of my record, my win-loss record here, I'm going to pick them. But I will be rooting for Stanford.
Hey, Annabelle, what's your pick?
I'm going to go with Oregon.
Oregon? Okay.
I like green.
Oh, man, I don't know what to do because Stanford's produced a lot of good players, but also Oregon's produced a lot of good players recently, including Justin Herbert. So with that in mind, because Justin Herbert is on my fantasy team, I will be going with Oregon, even though I really do want Stanford to win. Let's go on to the other Power 5 conferences. We are going to the Big Ten. We have a few matchups here. We're going to start off with a very interesting matchup. Number 23, Michigan versus number 13, Indiana. Craig, starting off with you, how do you feel about this matchup between the Hoosiers and the Wolverines?
So, both of those teams I think are highly overrated. I think Indiana maybe should be like 23-24. Michigan, after losing to Michigan State, who lost to Rutgers embarrassingly, I don't think they should be rated at all. I have not been too impressed by the things I've been hearing about Michigan. And I was shocked by Indiana showing up on Saturday. Not Now, given they beat Rutgers, so like, whoa, wow, that's real tough. But like, tell that to Mel Tucker. So I'm gonna pick.
Ooh.
I'm gonna
Pause.
I'm gonna pick Indiana over this one.
Savannah, who do you have?
Honestly, I don't know enough about these two teams. I feel like I know a lot. I've been watching them a lot, but also I feel like their numbers, their rankings, like should be a little bit closer. I feel like they're a little bit like more similar than they are different.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm like torn up. But I guess I'll pick Michigan.
Okay. Annabelle.
I'm gonna go with Indiana.
Okay, I like that. Hannah, I can almost imagine who you're going for here.
Guys.
You and Jason.
Yo, last week, Michigan hurt my feelings. I simply pretend that game did not happen. I pretend I do not see it. It was very sad Wolverine hours yesterday. That was one of the scariest things I saw on Halloween was that game.
Man.
But I mean, that being said, I am loyal to Michigan, so I'm going to go with Michigan. Jason, of course, has lots of feelings about this one. So very specifically, in all caps, for those of you watching on video, I'm reading notes from Jason. He said, IU sucks. He said, I have to vehemently argue against anyone on the pod that picks against Michigan. Go blue. So, Annabelle, not the move.
That's going to be two people now because Michigan's so overrated.
I'm not going to argue that Jim Harbaugh is overrated.
Very dynamic
duo right there. I feel like
every
single year we're like, oh my gosh, we have Jim Harbaugh, and then nothing good ever happens. It's just like generic. But I'm like, I don't know. Picking Michigan with my heart, but I'm preparing to be hurt again.
I think that Indiana's, I don't know if they're 13, but I think that they're more for real than they were last year because Indiana's really good this year. And I think that they're going to do some things that a lot of people aren't expecting. So I'm picking Indiana.
However, I have to remind you once again that IU sucks. So
yes.
On behalf of Jason, IU sucks. Go blue.
This is from Jason. Hannah did not say IU sucks, but I don't know how she.
I mean, I want IU to suck this week just because last week was painful, but also like whatever. I'm ready.
Yeah, no,
I'm the
I
only one. I am the only one on this podcast right now who does not have my native university playing football, so I've just transferred my hopes to Michigan.
We're gonna before our final two games of the week, which are two really, really good matchups. We're gonna go in the independent football right now, starting off with, for the first time ever ranked, Liberty, the Liberty Flames, number 25 Liberty, facing off at, I think they're at Virginia Tech. Let's see. So Annabelle, who do you have in this matchup between the Flames and the Hokies?
I'm going to go with Liberty, one, because they're ranked, and two, because of the commercial.
Valid.
Craig.
I'm going to go with Virginia Tech. I mean, I haven't seen anything from Liberty that's impressed me.
They are undefeated.
They are undefeated, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like
Western
Virginia
Kentucky
Tech
and FIU though.
Yeah, I feel like Virginia Tech definitely can still put up a fight. So I'm gonna go with Virginia Tech on this one.
Savannah.
I'm kind of torn because I feel like maybe I don't really know. I haven't seen Liberty play prior to picking this, so I'm not really sure if they're overhyped or if they're actually adequately placed. Because I'm kind of believing that they might be overranked because there's a lot of other teams that are ranked that I think are too high. So for that reason, I think I'm gonna go with Virginia Tech.
Okay.
But yeah. So.
Hannah and Jason.
I'm gonna go with Virginia Tech because I've been to the Liberty campus and I had a bad experience when I was there. Not necessarily the fault of the Liberty people, but that's just the bad vibes from that memory.
Bad vibes.
So I'm going to Virginia Tech. Jason's also going with Virginia Tech. Hokum.
I can never go with. So from me, I can never go with Liberty. Vatek for the win. Who knows what will happen? But Liberty is playing Coastal Carolina. This is our Coastal Carolina shout out for this week. They're playing them in the Chanticleers are 15th right now in the poll. Things are getting lit at Coastal. The teal turf will always live on, and they are playing Liberty, their final game of the season, or at least Liberty's final game of the season. So I'm really excited for that. Next game, number 9 BYU against number 21 Boise State, which should be a very interesting matchup. Craig, who do you have?
BYU. I think they in my opinion deserve their ranking. Boise State, I think they're not a bad team. I just don't think they're as good of a team as BYU. It's going to be a good one. But also every time I've said it's going to be a good one, it has not been a good one. So
well, thanks for jinxing the game, Craig.
So I'm going to say BYU, but honestly, it's a coin flip right there.
Savannah.
So I think this game's going to be a really good one. I'm going to definitely watch this one. But I'm kind of torn. In my opinion, I disagree, Craig. I think that BYU is overranked. I think for the scenario right now, they're ranked appropriately, but I'm thinking about like their team if it was kind of in normal circumstances. I'm going to pick Boise State. I think Boise State looks good, and I don't know. I think it'll be a toss-up, but I'll just pick Boise.
Hannah and Jason.
I am going to go with... didn't Boise State have the blue field?
Yeah.
They have the Smurf turf.
Yep, I'm going with Boise State for the Smurf turf. And then Jason says, as Savannah would say, it's just a feeling, and the feeling is Boise State. And Matt Harms transferred to from Purdue to BYU, so he cannot root for them.
All right, Annabelle.
I would normally pick Boise State because I do like their colored field and horses, but I am going to go with BYU. One, because I, for some reason, have a BYU sweatshirt in my closet. Don't know where that's from.
Probably from BYU.
Wow.
that was such a bad joke.
And then 2, because of their mascot, Cosmo the Cougar. He's like the very viral one you see dancing.
He is pretty cool. He is pretty cool.
And their dance team's very good, so I'm gonna go with them.
I always have to agree with the Smurf turf. Smurf turf, ride or die. So I'm going with Boise State for this one. So we're gonna close it out with our 2 top 10 matchups this week. Starting it off with it's Georgia, Florida. It's a very, very good matchup. I think the game is in Jacksonville because it normally is, but it might be somewhere else because of COVID. So I'm going to go Savannah to start for this one. Savannah, who do you have in this matchup between the Dogs and the Gators?
I'm picking the Dogs. Go Dogs.
I like that. Hannah and Jason.
Jason and I are both going with Georgia. Jason's got Play Glory, Red Coat Band. Georgia's taking the W.
Annabelle.
I am going to go with Georgia. I'll go with Georgia every time. Go Dogs. Florida sucks. I don't like Florida anymore.
I feel that. Craig.
No more.
Yeah, no more Gator puppets.
No more Gator puppets.
Look what they did.
Yeah, no, we're going with Georgia. Go Dogs.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's definitive. No, it's a clean sweep. I'm picking Georgia. Stetson Bennett's looked good enough this year, and Georgia has a really good defense, even though they got torched by Bama. Which leads us into our final matchup this week, which would be a really interesting one. It wasn't that interesting before, maybe like 2 weeks ago. But number 1 Clemson without Trevor Lawrence versus number 4 Notre Dame. Hannah/Jason, what is the pick for this matchup?
So Clemson, Notre Dame. I'm going to go with Clemson just because I don't like Notre Dame. And then
Respect that.
Jason said without Trevor Lawrence, Notre Dame can slay the giant. Also shout out to the first marching band in the country, the Band of the Fighting Irish. Which that's a good point. I actually forgot Trevor Lawrence is out with COVID. So I'm still going to go with Clemson though.
Okay. All right, I respect that. Annabelle.
I'm going to go Notre Dame for a couple reasons. Even though Clemson are Tigers, I'm sorry. Notre Dame, I like their colors a lot. I'm Irish. I just like the school. And then one of my favorite TV shows, the main character, he went to Notre Dame.
I respect that. No,
Wait,
that's a good
I guess
pick.
I didn't think about they're Irish and I'm Irish.
That's fine. No.
what are you
Just stick with your
doing?
gut.
If you had the chance to change your pick, would you?
Isn't that Scottish?
That is, but Hannah's Halloween costume.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough.
was
That was really
merit.
good, Craig. That was really good.
Yeah. All right. We got to give it to Craig for that one. That was.
So are you keeping your? We'll get to you after all of this.
Yeah. Let me think about this for a second.
Yeah. Craig.
I love Notre Dame.
All right,
Craig.
so I think this is going to be a really good one. Originally, my thought process was Clemson without Trevor Lawrence would lose to Notre Dame. But then I also thought about how much game experience the backup quarterbacks have gotten this season already. Just because Clemson so many times has dominated the opponent to where they can, in the second half, just put in their backups. I think there were a few games where even like the third string team was out on the field. So like, and they have the depth even at those other positions to keep dominating and like completely controlling the game against these teams that sure aren't number 4 Notre Dame, but they still completely controlled the field at that point. I think even without Trevor Lawrence, you still have the rest of the A team out there. You know, they're still going to be a dominating force. I think it's going to be a closer game than it would have been, but I think even without Trevor Lawrence, Clemson will still get this win.
All right. Savannah.
I think if it hadn't been for the Boston College game this past weekend, I would have straight away gone with Clemson. But I think I'm going to go with Notre Dame because I think if anybody can do it, I think they can do it.
So I have this dilemma where I can't stand Notre Dame and I never want them to win. So even though Clemson doesn't have Trevor Lawrence, they showed a lot of fight against Boston College being down double digits at halftime. So I'm putting Clemson down because I just can't root for Notre Dame, and I don't care if I take the L on this one this week in the pick department, just because I just can't pick Notre Dame ever.
I mean, it's a pretty safe bet to make, number 1 in the country, if you're going to pick them.
Yeah, I know, but like this week it's not as much of a safe bet.
So I'm like contemplating this now.
Go with the Irish.
Wait, is it 3-3 now? Right now, with your pick as is.
I'm gonna change to Notre Dame.
Okay, that's fine.
So I'm Irish.
That's fine.
So I'm very Irish, as you can see if you're watching the video.
No way.
So I'm gonna go with the Fighting Irish. So pick change. I did have the chance to change my pick, and I took it.
All right, so those are our picks for this week. Yeah, go Cats indeed. Always go Cats. Always go Cats. And I think with that, we're going to wrap up this homecoming episode. So happy homecoming. I don't know if we said that before, but happy homecoming to everyone who has done it yet or will do it at some point. So from all of us, have a great week. We'll see you guys next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and please wear a mask, and we'll talk to you guys for episode 6.